Mike? Mike, please could you... Yeah, I know you're there. Martin Albert. We haven't had the chance yet to hear him speaking, but Martin is a representative of the cryptocurrency exchange called Bitalo, and so we are going to hear more about this. So we have Johannes here, and my pleasure to invite Andrei Dubetsky, whom we already had a chance to listen to. So it's wonderful panelists here, and again, my pleasure to invite Timur Khramaev as a moderator for this panel. The format is going to be as follows. So we're going to ask as many questions we want to ask. Yeah. So yeah, here you are going probably to hear one of the most qualitative panels on actually the use cases of cryptocurrency exchanges and any questions, the bridge in between the cryptocurrency exchanges and real economy exchanges and anything that is related around it. So get ready, that's going to be awesome. So please warm it up with your wonderful smiles and yeah, great applause.
Thank you very much for having the honor to lead this discussion. What's the topic? I just want to.
Cryptocurrency exchange panel. This is how it sounds.
I just, I've been listening to the last presentation, and I'm probably I'm the wrong man to be as a moderator. You probably need an IT guy. I'm putting a lot of meaning into that's been stated, because the recent presentation, you've been talking about the Kraken exchange. And I'm sorry, there's lots of disclaimers that I need to tell you. Sorry, but I'm the regulator of the exchanges. And you've been talking about exchange. In my meaning, you're not exchange. You're talking about an act of exchange, but you're not a physical exchange, as I understand it, in Ukrainian sense, because if you would like to provide financial services, here's an exchange. We shouldn't talk about this. Yeah. So look. There's so many caveats. Shit, it's probably wrong. So look, guys, having an exchange. So let's talk about general, right? I would like to not to speak in particular about the reality in Ukraine. Having just a general discussion how a certain type of encrypted assets can be traded in the global scale. And regulation is a key because price formation on these assets is the holy grail of this thing. Because I have lots of questions because understanding price formation is what will get you out of this, get out of this scale on the biggest scale. I'm not talking about some particular coins or not coins. Yeah. So that's what the regulation is all about, transparency. And need to understand who is the major player on these, in these kind of playgrounds, and what are the risks for those vulnerable investors. Yeah, those guys that are just interested in very cool things. Oh, I can trade. I'm free. Yeah, I'm free here. Nobody, tells me what to do. I think it's a little kind of manipulation with information and what people are getting and what people are seeing. So go ahead, I'll just stand by and fix whatever you say. And your words can be used against, don't forget.
No, we have microphones, so you can have it, yeah.
Go ahead, so Martin, please.
Yeah, in my opinion, just to start a bit of this, I think Bitcoin was really invented to be disruptive and to really stand out of all this regulation stuff a bit. And this is why I think everybody's always talking about how can we regulate it, how can we fix it, and this is why everybody's always talking about fiat exchange. And this is already, in my opinion, the wrong starting point. Because actually Bitcoin doesn't necessarily need to be exchanged to fiat all the time. And I also see the future of Bitcoin trading not with some kind of centralized exchange where you send your coins to and then you make some Kraken-wise exchange where you send the money to Kraken and the Bitcoins to Kraken, and then two people interact. But with Bitcoin, I think this kind of decentralized models are far more interesting. You just need a website and you can just meet someone at the airport and you just give him whatever, some local currency, and that's the whole thing. It cannot even be regulated because you can only regulate businesses. You can regulate Kraken Exchange. You can regulate whatever, the website provider maybe. But what you cannot regulate is what private people are exchanging on the streets or even online. I mean, when I have my private bank account, I send money to some other private bank account. Of course, you can have whatever regulation.
So that means this encrypted asset would be like a smart contract that you are basically fixing out with your counterpart, right? You don't have to trade it.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, when you want to trade something, it always had to be with some kind of centralized party. Like a stock exchange is exactly the same. You need to have some stock exchange, and you say, oh, I want to trade this asset. And then you have a buyer and a seller, and the stock exchange is just the added value that those two parties are brought together.
We have an exchange here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. But now, when you can really send the asset itself in a decentralized manner, you don't need to have someone having the stock in the depot or something, but you can really like send it directly to the person. And you can even combine this like by sending the exchange case. You can even like just send the money not to the exchange provider and then make the trade, but just send the money directly to the person you're trading with.
That's a huge difference between.
That's a huge difference, and this is where really the chance in Bitcoin lies, because everybody tries to squeeze Bitcoin into the existing system, and especially also like for the Ukraine case. I mean, you don't even need this banking infrastructure. You can just meet people in person.
So, Andrei, tell us about, this is a real threat to the infrastructure. Exchanges are the old school.
That's true, because before Bitcoin it was impossible to do any digital exchange without central counterparty. It was impossible technically, and it was necessary part of evolution of how the capital market developed. And yeah, we have a developed capital market, but I agree that blockchain or similar protocols could develop alternative, let's say, fundamental protocol, like basement. Like we usually show the example like TCP/IP on the internet, that other things, exchanges, services could be built on top of it, connected or directly. Anyhow, it's.
But what's next? I mean, if you have peer-to-peer, so basically here we can have whole wild trading going on. If this technology would be deployed, where do you see the old school entities?
Yeah, but when we have a direct, let's say, a direct connection, we can agree to the agreements what we want between two of us. Basically, it could be also mathematically or technically realized in some cases. Maybe it's just theoretically possible right now as a smart contract, but I think it will be developed for a more effective way. But my understanding that, and I put it on my slide, that Bitcoin will fit more on the new economy, new economic relationship that will become more popular sooner or later in an economy. So right now, how the money system, banking, capital markets, commodity markets works, it can't be just equal or let's say shifted on the more cheaper infrastructure based on the blockchain or something similar. Mm-hmm. It's probably impossible to do so. Right now, it's really working, and it's how they used to.
So it's cool. Like we all know and think we know how it should be, but it's a totally tearing incognito how we're going to get to there. So probably lots of bumps ahead. Maybe Michael can share with us his views and how he's persuading the National Bank and the others.
I would like to take a step back and look into 2008. When we talk about Bitcoin right now, we always say it's cryptocurrency, yeah? But if we look at the original paper published by Satoshi Nakamoto, it says nothing about money. It says the payment system, it says everything but money. There is no cryptocurrency word in the heading or anywhere in the text.
It does say electronic cash. Peer-to-peer electronic cash.
Peer-to-peer electronic cash, but it doesn't say cryptocurrency.
No, but cash is money.
Cash is money, but it's not. Well, there is a difference between money and currency.
Yes.
Money Yeah, he knows everything about it. He does his work. Yeah, money has is backed by the value. Yeah, that's right. Or no? Please prove me wrong. You spend more time on this than me. But anyway, what I want to say is that I think disclaimer. That the Bitcoin was originally developed to be a payment system rather than money. That's what I think. That's what I got from the white paper. I think that was the thought of Satoshi. But we see that the real world community needs free, reliable money. And this is why we call the Bitcoin the cryptocurrency. We went back to the currency. Because right now, dollar is not backed by anything. Well, to be honest, any currency is not backed by anything since 1971 or 73. So there is definitely a need for the free, uncontrolled money, a system where you can store value and to be sure that non-government official will take it back from you. And especially the banks, and especially in Ukraine, Argentina, and we see Greece right now. That happens all over the world. With Bitcoin, it's impossible, which is a good thing. We have this phenomenon where the people demand money, and we basically stuck that demand to the Bitcoin. So now we're talking about Bitcoin, always talking about the Bitcoin in respect to the money. When we talk about the blockchain, as Yuri said, that's a different story, because blockchain technology has nothing to do with the money. It's just a technology, it doesn't matter what it could be. So I personally think that the future is definitely behind the blockchain technologies, like Namecoin, Peercoin, Ethereum, what else we have there? From the really cool Mastercoin. I think we have Mastercoin here, yeah? No? Yes? You guys. So definitely the future is there. With regards to Bitcoin, as I said, it's a money. That's why people want to, apply the rules which we have today towards the money. That's why the exchanges pop up. That's why the payment process like BitPay pop up, because they want to compete with the Visa, MasterCard. These guys want to compete against the other people, and so on and so on. That's why we have news like the crypto bank will be established, and so on. So Bitcoin, we have just to take it as a fact. It's money. It doesn't matter whether I go to National Bank and say it's not money and they agree it's not money, but we all know that it's a cash, it's an alternative to cash, it's an alternative to payment system, it's an alternative to hryvnia, dollar, and so on, which you have to stick to.
Oh,
but it's disclaimer.
There's so much Bitword. I mean, look, it looks like you were selling to us something. It's more of an advertisement. And
I haven't said my brand name.
One time you say bits, it makes it, it sounds like money, it makes money, right? So it's like, you have to, persuade yourself that this is money. I think all of us have.
It's alternative to money. It's good alternative to money, backed by all of us.
But maybe Johannes, right? So you can tell us, is there a competition between other coins, and how you guys seeing, value of one against the other, and what's the difference? Sorry,
Can I first maybe respond or elaborate on some of the other things that I heard? I kind of agree with that statement that, this is Bitcoin, we wanted to invent something radically new, and now we have these exchanges who basically are operating like traditional financial, like a bank basically. People hated banks and then thought about Bitcoin and thought it was something really new, something really exciting. No one can freeze, seize, avoid your money. Well, and now guess what? Exchanges can't freeze, seize, or avoid your money, and because they work with banks. And so so I totally get that sentiment. How is this any progress over what we've already, the legacy kind of, financial landscape and infrastructure? But I also think, so that's true. So that is a problem. It's ironic that we depend on these exchanges and like ourselves. But I also think it's necessary that we have this infrastructure, because if we want to grow the Bitcoin economy from the size it is today, which we heard is the size of a country, the GDP of a country like Mauritius or something, some island nation. So we need efforts in every single. We need the P2P economy. We also need to maybe exchanges that are like centralized, as it were. We also need and many other services in the field. So it's not just, we can't just focus on saying on like people going to the airport and trading a few bitcoins. That's not going to be enough if we really want to grow the economy. If we don't want to do that, that's a different conversation. So that was just my response to what you guys have been saying. But now, what was your question?
Oh, my question, what's the...
Oh, the other...
what's the difference in different coins? And how are you guys pricing this? Because, and you've been also talking about regulation, that you're working with somebody who is regulated, but you're not regulated. I mean, you're like afraid to step on that ice because it's too thin in the sand, but could you elaborate?
Yeah, so actually Michael asked me that last night at the pre-party. He's like, how does this work? You guys are regulated or not regulated? And I said, basically, the bank we work with has this BaFin license, BaFin being the German SEC, the Bundesaufsichtsbehörde für Finanzdienstleistungen, and so the central regulator. And so basically, it's the bank's choice to take that risk, you know, and like to work with us. And we have an account with them, so everything, all the fiat, transactions go through that account. And you know, we're not like a separate entity there. I mean, that is regulated, you know, on top of the bank's banking license from BaFin. So it's the bank's call to say we don't want to work with you guys any longer. But so that's I could tell you more about regulations. Very interesting, or in Germany specifically.
Well, I've been, you know, I just recently came from BaFin. In fact, we have a very good program with BaFin, because the major role of BaFin is to supervise price formation. You know, and the reason why you're not regulated because BaFin, because there's an issue with price formation. There's no transparency in that process. How can you provide that transparency if you want to be fit in that regulated space? Because BaFin has credibility. They do enforce the market abuse practice. When people, for instance, dump a lot of coins and the price goes down, and they buy them back, you never know about this. Yeah? And people think, oh, this is market. No, this is in fact people make look like it's market. But you've been tricked. You know. So how the price formation happens there?
It's an excellent question. So we have some safeguards against market manipulation, of course. Otherwise, so we try to protect our clients from other people manipulating the market that we have. To be honest, it's a very small market right now. So there's not a lot of like. I mean, there may be some.
It's as small as the Ukrainian market. So
the Bitcoin.
No, not the Bitcoin market. I think financial market.
Oh, okay. So sorry, I thought you were talking about our specific Bitcoin Euro market, because that is, we do have some policies. We are, as I said, we have full KYC and we have certain other restrictions. So we monitor like market manipulation.
So you know who's the seller and who's the buyer. KYC. That means KYC.
Yes, we know the people.
KYC is know your client.
Know your customer. Know your client. Yeah. So you have to show, if you want to trade above a certain volume, or if you want to deposit or fund your account above a certain volume, you have to show us your ID, for example, your proof of residence. So that's.
Do you inform people that, for instance, someone big steps in and he, puts a huge order or huge sell order? Do you let the people know that there is an elephant in the room?
No. There's a dark pool for this.
That's what this dark pool tool is supposed to be for. So if you really have this guy who just wants to get rid of his 200 coins or 2,000 coins, then they can do that in the dark pool. They place the order. Maybe they have someone who they know wants to buy this, like over the counter.
So this is like a wash trade.
Yes,
This is manipulation. It is. This is pure manipulation.
Why is it manipulation? It's just a trade between two people. It's facilitated by, and it doesn't affect the order book. It doesn't affect the order book. It's a separate order book.
So let's agree to trade. We change the price.
Speak up.
Yes.
So let's some people would agree to have a OTC trade, buy party trade, and this is manipulation.
inflation.
No, they're not for. I mean, I'm not you, the regulator, so I'm not an expert, but they're not forcing a third party to trade at that price.
No, information is more valuable than your transaction. You understand? The transaction, when it's done, has more value than the transaction underlying. The price formation took place. It's public, and you guys are all looking at this. It has more value than the deal took place. So you understand the concept of what I'm trying to say.
In case of the dark pools, though, it wouldn't be available information.
So it's within.
Yes,
Nobody
within.
knows what the price is.
Not for dark pools, no. Only for order book. Right?
I don't fully understand the.
There is two order books. One is public that everybody see the price. They create a dark room, which is certain set of people, and they play in the blind game there. So the
And
standard
what's the
order
reason
book
for blind
is
game?
one
To
thing.
not move the market. So if I have a lot of coins and I want to get rid of them,
I want to transfer you the whole bunch. Or dark pool would be least for crowdfunding you
I
to
think
move
that's
the
what
market.
BitPay is doing to make money nowadays.
What's that?
I'm not sure, but I think like BitPay and all this stuff, because they don't take any fees, so that's the way how they make money. They have like big buyers in the background, and they don't want to move the market, but they want to get more coins. So they just like the order book is thin, and then you basically do OTC trade. The buyer gets like a cheaper price.
Looks like you guys are. Thank you very much. But look, I mean, there's lots of issues. I mean, there's no clear answer. If you guys are ready to fight manipulation by other, I understand you split the pricing between dark room and in an open space, but you need to know what the people's positions are, what the motives are, and how it's reflected on a wider audience that might know or prevent any rumors or misuse of the information.
You can't, that's the whole
I
point.
mean, that's making you so free that you're going to damage vulnerable investors. And you should understand, it looks more like gambling.
It is gambling at that
Yeah,
this
but,
point of
but the average life of a gambler is 3 months. If you guys want to gamble, in 3 months you're going to lose your money. You'll never come back to the financial sector. That's how free you are. You're going to lose your money. And that's what else? You're going to be upset. That's something very similar with the FX trading that takes place. On the average, it's 3 to 4 months. At some point, if your position is too big, oops, you lose, control of your account. Technical problem. Come back later. And then people come to the regulator. Oh, by the way, I got, or we have banking system run. Yeah, it looks like to a certain level it grows, and then the huge systemic risks take place. Sorry, I'm monopolizing it. So you guys go ahead, because that was the wrong idea for me.
No, that was the best idea. This
Yeah?
is a historic panel in my view.
Okay, go ahead, guys.
You're exactly right. That's a gamble. But you're saying that Bitcoin is asset or the money. In that case, you can lose, but you're not going to lose everything. I mean, I don't believe that there is a chance that Bitcoin will lose 100% of its value in the day, or in a month, or anything.
It's not that the Bitcoin will lose. People will lose their money.
Okay.
If you're converting that into certain coins, certain assets, yeah. But people are putting their real money.
Okay, so right now for the 256 bucks approximately, you can buy 1 Bitcoin. What is the gamble for you?
260 bucks.
Okay, you earned 4 bucks. What's wrong with that?
I might lose it tomorrow.
Yeah, but that we're clearly saying. That's what we're saying. Everyone knows that.
But I don't know how you're forming the price. There's no supply demand.
There is. It's formed on the exchanges. It's not just one exchange.
Look, I
They're like
understand
a lot of
some
exchanges around.
farmer grows his grain. Yeah, he puts his tough work into this. He makes 10 tons a year. And next year we understand that the weather is so, maybe he'll make 8 tons a year. So then the grain is converted to the money on the exchange. And we know what the demand is. For instance, Chinese would like to buy grain. So they're meeting at the exchange, and we don't understand what the supply and demand would be. Here you're talking that server provides you with a certain point based on your activity, but we don't understand what your activity is. So you understand that it needs to be some clear-cut understanding.
why can't we consider Bitcoin exactly like grain? What's the difference?
No, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
I think that's exactly the wrong comparison. You should just compare it to fiat, because fiat is created just out of thin air, and Bitcoin is as well, but electronic power. But the grain has grown, and so I don't think that the comparison to a grain is really the right one. It's more like, you know, who guarantees me that, ask a Greek person, who is guaranteeing them that their euro is going to be on their account tomorrow?
Answer is no one.
Yeah, but that's the comparison that you have to do.
Use gold instead of grain, but it's still...
But gold is not easily transferable from here to China in like 10 seconds, like Bitcoin.
Yeah, sorry guys. That's a problem, of course. If you were, you know, I understand, in order to be great, you have to challenge greatness. Yeah? Sorry, but this invention cannot challenge the conventional money at this stage. There's so much wealth behind this system that's been created that it's hard to say, oh, there's a little coin that's going to change the whole thing.
That's why
go ahead.
That's also
we're going to have a ride here.
That's also, in my opinion, one of the biggest misunderstandings of Bitcoin. Everybody thinks Bitcoin should replace the US dollar, should replace the fiat currency or whatever. That's never the intention. It's just some kind of piece of freedom outside of the financial system, and people can always trade these things in dark pools, and privately, in the living room, wherever. And this is never meant to say, okay, we don't use fiat currency anymore. And this is also why everybody's talking about this mainstream adoption and these kind of things, like every user should go to the supermarket and pay his frozen pizza with Bitcoin. And that's definitely not the thing.
So are we all clear here on the same page that, okay, let's look at the different, maybe the coin or money challenge is a bit, you know, is a bit hot, yeah? But if we look at certain technology like blockchain, that's the real future, right? Applying a certain...
Bitcoin is as such already the future, so the future is now, because you can use Bitcoin. It works perfectly, you don't need anything else. And you can just trade for Bitcoin for whatever. I can give you a haircut, and you give me Bitcoin. Maybe that's a bad example now. And there's no one who can really prevent me from doing this transaction. And that's the whole point about Bitcoin, that like control of the coin, that's the whole issue, because you're the only one who has control over the coin. Unless of course you put it in Mt. Gox or whatever. This is why we need technical solutions, which I will also talk about later. That even when you use the coins online, they are still only under your control. And this can also be done with Bitcoin, or only be done with Bitcoin. This cannot be done with fiat currency. And as long as you use it on the kind of a private level, because what always can be regulated is businesses, but you can never regulate private people. So when I just give you a Bitcoin, I mean, what regulation would ever be able to stop this? And when I trade with you with the dark pool, that can maybe be regulated also, but not because the trade can be regulated, but only because the business can be regulated. And that's, I think, the important thing about Bitcoin, that you really need to understand that that's not the intention to replace any of the existing systems. It's just a new system on top of the existing system.
Looks like the way.
Okay. It's a good final statement.
Yeah, it's definitely the good ways. You have to lead the process in order to, you know, if there's such a chaos, lead the chaos. Sure, you guys have anything to add? Because how long can we take?
10 more minutes.
Oh, wow.
Maybe there's some questions for you guys. Huh?
I have a question.
There's a lot.
I can do it. I have a question. You said that there is no clear supply-demand structure behind Bitcoin. But what about gold? Because it's also, maybe tomorrow people won't sell gold, you know, hoard it. How is it different from Bitcoin?
This question to whom?
Yeah, I can answer.
Because there's going to be a whole point. Yeah, we don't have well, there's a clear supply. I mean, we pretty much know what the deposits are and what are the main producers are. So in terms of the gold, there's a clear understanding of what is the supply chain.
But this
the price formation for the gold, because tomorrow they can find in Peru huge mine, and the price will drop dramatically. So
we know where people are looking for. I mean, companies are. There is a public disclosure of the information on the regulated market. The company that mines for gold publishes its geological statement. In fact, the regulators like us, we look into their geological statements. We look into oil and gas exploration, gold exploration. Do you guys look at this? No. So you understand that the price formation is a sensitive issue, so we have to disclose, and people are liable for information that they publish. If they say in a geological report, oh, by the way, there's infinite supply of gold, oh, wait a minute, are you sure you wanted to say this?
so it's supposed to say this.
It's 10 years of jail. There's no infinite supply of gold. It's a misstatement. It's manipulation of information for the sake of manipulating the price. That's what the regulation means. So if I answered your
But at
question.
the same time, Chinese, what did it, they allowed before, like 5 years ago, the Chinese people were not allowed to own gold. So they allowed to own gold, so a billion Chinese people buying the wedding rings today. The supply is humongous. The price raised to $1,800 per...
The demand is. The demand from China.
Demand,
Yes.
sorry, the
That
demand.
called that in the market.
But it's a government decision. That's
Yes,
not-
it's called, they create certain bottlenecks.
Who gets the ears for this?
That means they try to influence the consumption.
Who gets the ears
Yeah.
for this?
For instance, I mean, look, we never had Bentleys during the Soviet times. Now people are selling their flats to buy the Bentley. That's pretty much similar, huh? Have you seen? Do you think we have that wealth to run that many luxury cars? No. Same with the Chinese with gold. We have a certain, abstract understanding of certain assets. And what regulation means is, guys, let's calm down. Let's look at the supply and demand, making sure that there's no bottlenecks, and disclose whatever is there. If there is a bottleneck, for instance, on grain or gold, let's disclose that. Let the market understand how we should price that.
I think that nothing is more publicly at the amount of Bitcoin. Like everybody can just calculate it.
Could you please stand up because it's so hard to...
I said nothing more disclosed than the number of Bitcoins in the Bitcoin system.
Yeah, the 21 million we
It's
know.
the amount of blocks times the revenue per block, that's it. And it's very publicly, it's more publicly.
And who owns it as well? It's disclosed?
No, that's not
No, not the names. Because if you look at the
whole
reports,
blockchain is public and everyone knows not the names, but the amounts on such and such address. So
And the movement.
no, look, it's not existentialist issue. I mean, what I try to raise is that, look guys, if you disclose more information about the trading,
the thing is,
the commitments, the positions of the traders for a week, that's like, that's what the Chicago Mercantile Exchange on the derivatives market. They publish on a daily basis positions, anonymous to certain positions of the biggest traders. Yeah, and the market looks at it and says, okay, we know this. If you're informed, you're okay with certainly protected. So. Yeah. No, guys, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry. Can we this guy? So you guys go.
I pretend to be an expert with usual currency. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. So in any country, Ukraine, United States, United Kingdom, Germany, any other country, it is the general law. Anybody could provide any service and everybody should pay taxes and everybody should be paid in the currency which is the legal tender inside the country. So it refers to taxes, to regulation, to quality regulations and many kinds of state institutions which regulate the whole business, everything in the country. So if somebody would say, I produce some kind of currency which is outside of every national financial systems. So, and I provide this currency and this currency should work. And Michael said that Bitcoin is a kind of currency. if you would say it and if you would insist on it, so national bank will prohibit Bitcoin inside Ukraine. It's not a currency. So correct.
De facto or de euro?
Currency means money means the
mean of exchange. That's what. That's the mean of exchange. That's it.
Five functions which are together. They
form the money.
All
Yes.
together. Five functions. Five. We will not discuss this. So Bitcoin is not a money. Bitcoin is not a currency. Of course, it looks like currency. It looks like money. It could provide some kinds of money, functions of money, but it's not. It's just something
Yeah,
middle.
it pretends it's money, right?
Yeah, it
pretends. My dog sometimes pretends it's an elephant running around. So it's like, because the chair is also because they money. I can exchange it for a computer for that camera if that person is willing. So
mean of exchange. It's a mean of exchange. I agree. I think Bitcoin is a shitty money because today I paid 0.13 Bitcoins for the conference, and 2 days ago I could have paid 0.1. So there was like a difference in price. So I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I don't think that's a good point for the money. That's why it's not money. I agree.
It's not storable.
But yeah, it doesn't store value that well.
So pesos are money, Argentinian pesos. Drachma in Greece was money.
Oh, it's even worse. It's even worse.
It was not money.
I want to say a different thing. I'm just saying that using Bitcoin as alternative to the fiat currency is not the best practice. I think where the best practice is, and that's why customers come to me, for example, they use it as the system of transferring money immediately from point A to point B without the risk. So the local businessmen, they come, they buy bitcoins for local currency, and they send these bitcoins to China and exchange it on exchange, or pay for services directly to the guys who accept Bitcoin.
So
it goes like that,
so
without the risk.
Yeah, sorry. So maybe we can have a couple of words by everybody to say, because there's been so many bit work here. I'd like to mix it up, and you guys can tell. So what's ahead? In 5 words, what's ahead of us, and what do you think would be the next the bit work? Yeah. Bit work.
Yeah, I think for sure it's a technology, and it will innovate not only in the financial sector. And financial sector is very, very, very interesting because there is some business needs that financial services are not supported, or some segments, or people, or too slow, too expensive, or other reasons. So, but it's hard for me how to say which service will survive, will part of this system will move to the cheaper and more efficient technology, and which is will survive, or it's basically depend on the market, what the people will. It's a question of the people will. If we have a community and say we would like to use a different system, we will do. If we would like to create a different country, society, we will do.
Who's going to steer?
I just want to say that I think Bitcoin, of course, will never go, let's say, real mainstream in the sense that it would abolish fiat currency or whatever government. But it's of course here for the informed people who can really transact outside of the system. And it will really be used in the future, in my opinion, as some kind of private currency on the private business level. Like people interacting with each other on international level, electronically. And this will of course never be the 99%, but it will always be a growing amount of people who will continue to use it and will have real use cases in the future.
Similar ideas, actually. I think it could very well become a parallel currency. So you could not, it wouldn't necessarily replace national currencies, but could exist along with the national currencies as a parallel currency. And of course, adoption is still an issue. Real people have to adopt it. Not everyone, not my grandmother, but maybe my friends, my generation. Thanks.
I'll say that blockchain not the bit word, blockchain. It will disrupt the financial market the most. And
disrupt change.
Change, yeah.
No, everything is under control, guys.
It will definitely change, and I hope that this technology will allow to shift the power and control of the value from the big banks towards us, the customers. That's what I hope.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. And once I think the bottom line is that everything is within your hands, not within ours. So whatever you guys decide and lead the market to, we'll follow.
Thank you so much. Let's give a huge applause. To be perfectly honest, I truly believe it was a historic panel right there. I cannot remember in a single case where such educational and like real dialogue ever happened before in any other countries and jurisdictions. So Timur, thank you so much for giving us.
Don't forget to put the disclaimer. And,
Yep.
Underneath.
Yeah?
Not representing the
No.
government's authority.
But here it's important that it was like kind of a test for us how seasoned blockchain Bitcoin experts we are, and were we able actually to truly express everything that we know and we envisioned. So, thank you so much, everybody. That was really, really qualitative panel, seriously. Thank you so much again. I invite everybody to enjoy lunch. You're going to be amazed, and please promise me that after 45 minutes, there is nothing on the table, okay? Because we have more to come. So, bon appetit.